more rapidly and more effectively. Will help build our industries, secure our jurisdictions. So we are very pleased to be taking this important step towards participation in SAFE as part of Rearm Readiness Europe, bringing shared expertise, joint research and innovation. You know, at its core, final word, Europe was born as a project of peace. And Canada, over the years, over the decades, has served alongside European allies in pursuit of that peace. It's that, in those circumstances, from Vimy to Juno, that the world came to know the value of our strength. But now we're working alongside the European Union to combat climate change, to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals, and to protect, amongst other things, academic and scientific freedoms. In these ways, the world knows the strength of our values. And this partnership, which is in defense and security and economics, really builds the strength, builds those strengths in both our jurisdictions and lives up to our values. So with that, thank you for the partnership. It's not over. As you say, we have dinner, and I know in Europe dinners are long and they involve a lot of work, at least when they're in this building. Other dinners in Europe are long and involve very little work, but this one will involve a lot of work, but so be it, because we have a lot of work to do. So with that, I'll hand back for questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Prime Minister. We will now open the floor for some questions here in the room. The journalists will have to reach out to the microphones on both sides. Please identify yourselves and the media you work for. Sir.
Good evening. Murray Brewster with CBC News. My question is for Prime Minister Carney. Prime Minister, if you could answer in both French and English, I'd appreciate it. This partnership that you've signed today, and recognizing that there is still some negotiation to do, Europe has its own defense industrial capacity challenges right now, just like Canada does. Can you explain how this particular partnership that you've signed today is going to get military equipment into the hands of the Canadian forces quickly, how it's going to expand Canada's defense industrial base, and how you're going to pay for it?
Yeah. So thank you very much for the question. The first thing, in terms of the challenges / opportunities that exist both for Europe and for Canada, is that we're both embarking on major investments in our defense capacities. We have some complementarities that will allow us both to move more rapidly because we have excess capacity in certain areas. For example, one of the things we need in Canada is just straight munitions. Okay, a very simple thing. Cooperation in aerospace, where there are complementarities both in European leadership, but also some Canadian leadership as well. Complementarities in areas related to, sorry to use the jargon, but the defense industrial pledge, so related defense spending that has dual use or other uses. And President von der Leyen mentioned AI and cyber, those areas which will be incredibly important for defense. So right at the point where both of our jurisdictions need to increase to combat defense threats, we pool our resources, or we can pool much of our resources. We'll be more than the sum of the parts. And as we build up those resources, we can do those in a way that's complementary and mutually reinforcing. One of the ways we can pay for this is the fact that what we will do should be more efficient for both of us, should be more cost-effective for both of us. The second thing is to recognize that if we do this right, we will also be building our overall economic capacity, which will be part of what's self-reinforcing. Et puis, en français, en effet, c'est une question des avantages de travailler ensemble, d'avoir des synergies entre les investissements européens et celles du Canada. C'est le moment où on peut mettre l'avantage, ou prendre l'avantage des différences entre les deux industries. Par exemple, en ce qui concerne le secteur aérospatial, il y a des complémentarités, en effet. Et puis, dans les nouveaux compétences qui seront nécessaires, y compris l'intelligence artificielle et le cyber, la lutte contre le cyber. Encore, il y a des avantages de travailler ensemble et on va le faire. Merci.
Okay, so we'll stay on this side. The next question goes for El País, please.
Hello. This question is for Ms. von der Leyen and Mr. Costa from a European perspective. What can take this agreement for the industry and for the European companies? And, well, one question for Mr. Carney. Do you feel more comfortable in Brussels than in Washington? Thank you.
So, you want to start?
No, please.
The security and defense partnership is very beneficial for both sides because it means joining forces, developing capabilities together. And it's the foundation for Canada. We will discuss basic principles, but to join the investments that we have for joint procurement to boost our military capabilities. We were speaking, for example, about air defense capabilities that are needed in the European Union. We are all part of NATO too, so interoperability plays a large role, and therefore it is important to do these joint procurements, not only for the scaling up the industry, because with more scale you can have better, cheaper and faster the results, but also, of course, to improve the interoperability between our troops. The principles are things like reciprocity, so the access to the defense industrial base from our side in Canada, but from Canada's side also in the European Union, or, for example, the security of supply, that in a moment of crisis we can rely on each other, that the supply will continue and will not be cut off. We had the positive experience in COVID that the supply stayed stable on both sides. So these are principles that we will define together, but then the access of Canada to our joint procurement in the European Union is the doors open.
Yes. In terms of relative comfort, it's very hot in Washington right now and very humid. I'm sure the dinner will be better, with all due respect to our American friends. It'll be better than it would be in Ottawa. The dinner will be better tonight. Look, I would say in terms of the terms and what we discuss around an economic partnership, we have similar views in terms of the importance of labor standards. We have similar views in terms of addressing sustainability and building sustainability. I think we have similar views in terms of how we develop a true partnership in matters of defense. And I'll add one other point of, I don't want to say this is comfort, but it's effectiveness with respect to Ukraine. The European Union is preparing its 18th sanction package, a very significant package of sanctions. We've just released our latest sanctions, financial sanctions, against Russia, against the Shadow Fleet, against enablers of the Russian regime. We have just committed additional financing to the Ukrainian government and additional military assistance to Ukraine. As President von der Leyen mentioned, we will be participating in the foreign ministers here. We're participating in the reconstruction conference that Italy is leading on behalf of the European Union in a few weeks, because we know, and this is the other element of comfort, that we will stand up and defend these fundamental values: international law, territorial integrity, the rights of state, and democracy as represented in Ukraine. So yes, we take comfort from that alignment, and it is a very effective partnership as a consequence. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll take a question from the right. The lady in green, please.
Bon bonsoir. Valérie
bonsoir.
Gamache de Radio-Canada. Merci de nous accueillir d'abord. Monsieur Carney, si vous pouviez répondre en français et en anglais. Madame von der Leyen, si vous pouviez répondre également à la question. Le secrétaire général de l'OTAN aujourd'hui a affirmé que les frappes américaines en Iran ne violaient aucune loi internationale. Est-ce que c'est aussi votre avis?
Alors, il y a plusieurs aspects de cette question. En ce qui concerne l'Iran, depuis des décennies, l'Iran a essayé de développer des armes nucléaires. Premier point. Deuxièmement, depuis des décennies, l'Iran a exprimé un désir d'éliminer l'État israélien. Depuis des décennies, l'État iranien, selon le Canada, a été et est encore soutient, l'État iranien soutient le terrorisme. Et le corps des gardiens de la révolution islamique est sur la liste des organisations terroristes au Canada. Ce sont des violations des lois internationales. In English, for years, for decades really, Iran has pursued nuclear weapons. Well, Iran has expressed a desire to eliminate the state of Israel, where the state of Iran has been a sponsor of terrorism, Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, and beyond. And where at least in our opinion, Canada has listed the Iranian Revolutionary Guard as a terrorist organization, active terrorist organization. These are violations of international law. These are the ones we looked at. Thank you.
Bien, si vous me permettez.
En français.
Back to basics, en français. Tout d'abord, on est pour défendre le droit international, soit en Ukraine, soit dans le Moyen-Orient. Donc la loi internationale, c'est la base des relations entre les États et les peuples. Donc on doit tenir toujours le respect pour le droit international. Deuxièmement, on doit s'engager pour assurer le respect pour les traités de non-prolifération des armes nucléaires. Et donc l'Iran ne doit jamais avoir une arme nucléaire et on doit s'engager parce que l'Iran respecte la loi internationale, notamment le traité de non-prolifération des armes nucléaires. Troisièmement, on doit se bâtir pour la paix. La paix, évidemment, ça veut dire qu'il faut éviter l'escalade. Il faut contenir les actions militaires et il faut ouvrir un espace pour le dialogue et pour la diplomatie. Parce que c'est seulement comme ça qu'on peut arriver à une paix durable dans le Moyen-Orient. Évidemment, on parle maintenant d'Iran. C'est ce qui est à l'heure du jour. Mais il ne faut pas oublier que le Moyen-Orient, ce n'est pas seulement l'Iran. Il ne faut jamais oublier qu'on aura seulement une paix durable dans le Moyen-Orient si on arrive à avoir effectivement une solution de deux États avec une paix entre Israël et la Palestine. Et dans le court terme, il faut qu'Israël accepte le cessez-le-feu immédiat à Gaza, arrête ses actions illégales dans la Cisjordanie et qu'ouvre les portes des frontières pour l'aide humanitaire et évidemment que le Hamas libère immédiatement tous les otages qui restent dans les mains des Hamas. Donc, c'est dans ces quatre principes fondamentaux qu'on doit regarder la question du Moyen-Orient et notamment les questions les tensions qui existent maintenant avec l'Iran.
Okay, we have time for one more question. Kim.
Thank you. Kim McCrail from the Wall Street Journal. I'm turning us to trade, if you don't mind. A question for President von der Leyen to begin with. On Friday, the U.S. Trade Representative's Office circulated a document it referred to as a draft agreement on reciprocal trade. It includes concessions on the Digital Markets Act, on the Carbon Border Adjustment Mechanism, and methane rules. I'd like to know from you, is the EU prepared to sign on to a deal with the U.S. that includes changes to existing regulations? And I also have one trade-related for Prime Minister Carney. What options is Canada considering besides higher tariffs on U.S. steel and aluminum if the U.S. and Canada don't reach a deal on an economic and security pact by July 21st? Thank you.
So without going into details of the trade negotiations, in general, negotiations are only closed at the moment everything is negotiated. But I'm very clear on some topics that touch the sovereignty of the decision-making process in the European Union. This is for us absolutely untouchable. So we're very clear about that. Of course, we discuss tariff lines. We discuss non-tariff barriers like standards and norms, for example. We discuss strategic purchases. We discuss all these topics, but where it is the sovereign decision-making process in the European Union and its member states that is affected, this is too far.
Okay.
We're getting late, so I'll answer quickly. The first is that, look, what options are we considering? I'll give you an open answer. We'll do what's right for Canada. We're working hard to get a deal, but we'll only accept the right deal with the United States. The right deal is possible, but it's nothing's assured. But what we're going to do, irrespective of the outcome, is we are going to build trading relationships with like-minded partners, reliable partners, partners that are aligned with our values. It begins here, and you see the ambition in this partnership and the scope of ambition, and that's the future of trade. That's the future of trade. The future of trade is digital. The future of trade does take carbon into account. Carbon is trade, right? The future of trade does have this defense cooperation. It is consistent with industrial policy, recognizing that industrial policy amongst allies, we're all going to NATO, but only some of us in NATO are talking about an allied industrial policy that will make us stronger. That's the future of trade, not a narrow discussion on tariffs. Thank you.
All right, and that's a wrap. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for joining us. You will find all the materials and outcomes of the summit in the Council website. And, well, I wish you all have a nice evening. Thank you.